You'll tell
Okay.
me.
We are live.
Hello and welcome to SSD's first Lunch and Learn of the 22-23 school district. My name is Deborah Fiasco and I work in the FACE department, which is Family and Community Engagement. And you'll hear a little bit about us at the end of this presentation. Today, we welcome Jeff Schneider. He is an effective practice specialist with Special School District. He's been with us for many, many years, and he's knows everything about transition. We're so excited to have Jeff with us today. Questions can be put in the chat and they will be monitored and asked at the end of this presentation. Please be aware that it's only the moderator that will see this, but do not include any personal or student information. Some questions, if they're very similar, might be combined. So if you don't hear your question, we might have combined it with another question. Also, be advised that this is being recorded, so you can watch it later, or if you have to leave for any reason, you can come back and watch it, but this is being recorded. Thanks, Jeff, for being with us today, and I'll let you take over.
All right. Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Jeff Schneider. I'm an effective practice specialist in the Transition Department of Special School District. I've been with the district for 24 years. I've been in the Transition Department for 12 years. Today, I'm really going to be just talking about a very high-level overview of our department, some terms that you might hear thrown out there that are associated with transition in our department, and as well as answering any questions that you may have. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. It always gets a little nervous sharing your screen because you just never know if it really works or not. So give that just 1 second for that to pop over to a presentation mode. We hope. All right, let me get back to where we need to be at here. And of course, technology is always technology, so it's always fun. Just 1 second, there we go. So again, Lunch and Learn today. We are really looking at the transition department today. So first of all, just what do we do in the transition department? We really are there to support students and families in working towards creating that vision for a good life, using the framework and principles of charting the life. If you're not familiar with charting the life course, you'll see the tools in this presentation, but there are other presentations that you can join to learn more about charting the life course. We also like to work in collaboration with partner district school staff as well as adult agencies to really make sure that we're helping to meet the needs of that student, but also the family to ensure that smooth transition into adult life. So we're really there to look at helping the family and the student transition into adult life. And that is typically a K through 12 process. So we get involved anywhere along the K through 12 educational history and life of that student and supporting the families at that point. Just a few definitions for what exactly we do in transition. So sometimes parents will hear and other staff members will hear something called Charting the Life course. It's abbreviated CTLC, and that is used for all students to support that long-range planning, beginning at an early age through high school through that IEP process. So sometimes you'll see it typed out as CTLC, or sometimes it's just Charting the Life course. It's all referring to the process that we use in order to help support that vision for a good life and that long-term planning. CBDI is another thing that you hear often at an IEP. CBDI is typically a high school experience. It's a community-based vocational instructional experience in which students who it's deemed necessary through the IEP lens to work on vocational skills go out into the community, typically with a para or a special educator, and they learn to work on those vocational type skill sets within various businesses. So some of our CBDI sites might include Mers Goodwill, Schnucks, Deerbergs, a few hospitals around the county, a few hotels around the county, and students are actually there to learn how to get those work skills. So how to stay on task, how to work to a standard, those what we call soft skills, which are just those abilities, that ability to interact. So they're really there to learn those types of skills. They sample various jobs, various entry-level jobs within that business, just to see what they're good at, what they like, what they don't like. And again, participation is really an IEP team decision. The location where that CBDI is housed is not an IEP team decision. It is an administrative decision based on who would like to partner with us. Not everyone wants to partner with us. So we can never, ever control the sites, but we most certainly can control whether the student is able to go or not. Some other acronyms. SWEP. SWEP is a summer work experience program. It is supported through MERS Goodwill. It is for students who are living in St. Louis County, age 16 plus. It is paid employment within the community. Typically, when a student applies for SWEP, the application is out sometime in November. It's due by February, and then selection is starting to be made. Typically, it's not a first come, first serve, but usually they look at the oldest students first for their opportunities, and then they move down to the younger students, and they'll have more opportunities in later years. Students can participate in SWEP multiple summers. There's usually a 1 to 4 adult to student ratio in SWEP, although depending upon the needs of the student, there could be a 1-to-1 support that's there. The other summer program that some of our students will get into is, we kind of call it SWE, but not really. It's summer work experience through vocational rehabilitation. Again, it is a supported paid employment experience that students will do during the summer between their junior and senior year. They can only participate once. Typically, it's that summer before they graduate. So if a student is staying in a little longer, it's whatever summer it is before they graduate, that's when they can participate in this program. Typically, the ratios are a little bit larger, so you have 1 adult to 11 students. Same type of businesses. There's also a piece of curriculum that goes along with the vocational rehabilitation summer work experience that looks at like soft skills, self-determination skills, helping the student self-advocate. So there is a piece of curriculum that's also taught 1 day a week. It's typically a 5-day-a-week program. Both are 5 days a week programs. What both programs would say is that your student has to be present for the entire experience. So typically the experience is a 6 to 8 week experience, and they need to be present for that whole time. So family vacations, other work camps, ESY that your student might participate through special school district, all those things have to take the back burner in order to actually join these programs. What's really nice though is, especially in the SWEP program, students typically earn about $1,000 in the summertime, and that's really great for them to put into the bank, go buy something. It just really empowers them to kind of keep going. Co-op. It's a little known program in our county. Co-op is actually a special school district partnership with vocational rehabilitation and our partner districts, to where students can earn credit based on jobs that they have out in the community. In order for a student to access co-op, they have to be gainfully employed with minimum wage or above and have received that job and obtained that job without the support of vocational rehabilitation. So it's just a job that they went out and got on their own, and they can maintain it on their own without a support of a job coach or anything like that. Credit is given based on how many hours a week that student works. And it's really nice because you can earn up to 4 credits a year, which for some of our students is really needed when maybe the academic world is not their strength, but maybe the employment world is. So it's really kind of nice. They typically get released from school for part of the school day with a reduced academic load. So that way they can go do other things. They can work at night, they can work on weekends. You can actually earn credit over the summertime, which is awesome. Students that are enrolled in co-op or would like to be enrolled in co-op have to go through VR's intake process and have an open case with VR. They also have to reflect the co-op within the IEP as well as on their course of study. Another program that Special School District offers is called Vocational Skills Program. The vocational skills program is for those students who have completed 4 years of high school, but really require an extended program to develop the skills needed to move forward successfully with post-school goals related to employment. Participation is in this extended program is an IEP team decision, and typically each year, the IEP team will look at the progress made by that student and whether or not they're ready to achieve their post-school goals. If so, then that student would graduate. Students are fully immersed within a business. So some of our businesses are Monsanto, which is now Bayer, hotels, excuse me. We have some nursing homes. It's fully immersed within those settings. The students take a bus from your home to the site, and then from the site back home. They are there all day long. They're learning how to interact with not only the other employees of that site, but also if it's a hospital or some other residential type placement, they're learning how to interact with those residents that are there. They learn the job skills related to the various jobs, but they're also learning how to ask a supervisor questions. They're learning how to interact with a supervisor, interacting with other employees and their peers. So it's a great experience. It's fully immersed. And that lasts up to the age of 21 for those students who actually need that. Sometimes we're asked about timelines. So when does all this start? Because it all sounds really good. IDEA mandates that by the time the student turns 16, they have a transition plan in place. That transition plan might address their participation in CBDI. It could address their participation in SWEP or the Vocational Rehabilitation Summer Work Program suite. But we have to have that transition plan in place by the time the student turns 16. Long-range planning for that student, however, can start much younger. And I would encourage, if you're a parent of a student who is receiving special school district services, not to wait to the age of 16, but contact your case manager and say, we'd really like to start long-range planning with my student as soon as possible. Sometimes they'll call me out to help support that, depending upon the district that you're in, or someone else from our department to come out and support that conversation, as well as support getting that long-range plan kind of going and helping parents and students to determine that. When we start talking about long-range planning, these are the tools that we use. These tools have been borrowed from Charting the Life course, which is a Kansas University initiative. These are the 3 tools we have. Charting the Life course is a much more extensive set of tools, but we feel that these are the 3 tools that really speak to long-range planning and the IEP process as Desi outlines it. When we start looking at these tools, the first one over here is just called an exploratory tool. It's really just an all about me. What are the student's strengths? What's important to them, and how can we best support the student? We prefer that to be in student voice. So really talking to the student. What do you like? What do you like about yourself? What are your strengths? What do other people like about you? Really trying to get that student to start talking about themselves and starting to get comfortable with that, because as adults and they integrate into employment or college or wherever they go, they're going to have to talk about themselves. So really helping our students to start learning how to do that. The middle tool is really called the trajectory, and this is the tool that we use to really look at setting that long-range vision for that student. What do they want to be when they grow up? It's best to actually get the student's opinion, and then we ask parents to come alongside and say, what is your vision for this student, mom, dad, versus what is the student's vision for their life? We really like to get that opinion of the student, because if we can get the student to identify what they want to do, then we can start looking at what steps do we need to take towards getting there, and what do we need to stop doing in order to get there as well. So in the vision for a good life, we'll talk about, where do you see yourself living? With whom? What type of job? What type of rec and leisure things are you going to be doing? We're also going to talk about what things are you doing currently to kind of move yourself towards that. But we're also going to talk about what kind of things are you doing right now that, if you continue these things, might jeopardize your ability to achieve that long-range plan. Part of this tool is also a conversation with families to really help families start understanding what is needed as their student moves from school where there's heavy support into the adult world to where there's far fewer supports available. We want to make sure that we're connecting families with that support, be it an outside agency, be it funding sources, or be it rec and leisure opportunities for their student. The final piece of this tool set is called the STAR tool. This is where we as a team sit down and we really focus in on very specific goals or problems or situations that we need to address. In the middle of the STAR typically is a goal or a situation or problem. And then around it, we talk about how can these various pieces support that student achieving that goal. So we look at relationships. What types of relationships does that student have that could help them achieve this goal? What types of strengths and assets does the student come to the table with? What technology might actually help that student? Who in their community might help them? And the community might be clubs and things like that that they participate in, or it could be things that the parents participate in. They go to the Y. They're a member of faith-based community. They are members of a golf club. All these different things could be pieces of the community that could actually help a student achieve some goals. And then we have eligibility services as well. So eligibility services would be special school district, but also other agencies like Department of Mental Health, like vocational rehabilitation, who have their own eligibility criteria. So if that's needed in order to achieve that goal. When we look at this, it doesn't necessarily have to be an IEP goal either. It could be getting a driver's license. We've had students who really want to get a driver's license and pass their permit. So we start looking at who in your world could help you pass this other than just the school. Who can help you? Because we realize that that student is a member of the community, is a member of a much larger group of people other than just the school. And we want that student to start thinking and the family to start thinking, who else is my support network? Because oftentimes families feel very much like they fall off a cliff when they leave us because we provide so many supports. We really want to help prepare that family in order to take over those things. So we want to help make sure that we're getting those connections made. So these are the tools that we use. They are used K through 12 to support a family or support a student in determining that long-range goal, but also to help to facilitate that IEP meeting to talk about these things rather than bring an IEP that's drafted and reading it to you, having these tools to actually have a conversation around so that we can have a meaningful conversation about the supports that a student needs, as well as the family, as well as goals and services that they may need. One of the other things that we in the transition department interface with a lot is our adult agencies. And a piece of the adult agencies that we wanted to familiarize everyone with is called a family navigator. Family navigators are wonderful people, and they help individuals and families navigate the systems and resources that are available in the adult world. There are many systems and resources. Unfortunately, each of them typically come with some sort of eligibility or requirement that has to be met by either the student or family or both. So that family navigator really helps that family and that student to connect to those resources and just to ensure that they're making those connections. So it's a great resource for families to connect to at any age. They can provide you just with, what are some summer camps that my student can attend this summer, all the way to here are some classes that are out there in the community that you may be interested in. Some of those classes might include sexuality and stranger danger awareness. It might be for families to kind of look at it like long-term planning and financial planning for their son or daughter as they move forward in time. Family navigators would have that information and ability to connect you to them. At this moment, these are the agencies that have family navigators. You would just want to contact that agency and say, can you put me in contact with your family navigator? They're typically always available, and if they're not available, you can most certainly email them, and they usually respond back really quickly. So those are our agencies right now that have family navigators. They're always adding family navigators, so I'm sure that this is probably, even this list as of right now is probably maybe outdated even because some of the other agencies may have added some. Another person that you could always go to talk to is called a pre-employment transition service person, or a pre-ETS. That person is assigned to each high school in the county, as well as each purchase a service site and also private school. This person is through Voc Rehab, vocational rehabilitation. It is not someone who works for special school district or any of the partner districts. They work for Voc Rehab and Mizzou, and they come in and they support students as early as 15 or early as 14 in looking at helping them to decide on careers, helping them learn about themselves. What are their strengths? Let's do some career exploration. Let's bring in someone, a professional for you to talk to, like in a panel discussion. So they can do a lot of things with individual students or whole group students, like a classroom, depending upon what the school is asking them to do and depending upon what services are being requested. Again, all the way down to age 14 through 21. Vocational rehab, you've heard me mention this several times. This is an adult agency that supports adults of any age who have a qualifying disability in helping them to search for, obtain, and maintain employment. So at any time, any of us that may have a sudden medical emergency or incident that occurs that requires us to be retrained in employment, we could reach out to Voc Rehab and they would help us with the retraining, help us with job searching and everything else. So they're available at any time of all ages. We connect many of our students who are graduating out of high school and we connect them with Voc Rehab, especially if they want to be employed, because Voc Rehab is also an agency that can support that student in getting a job coach. So if a student still requires some support in learning a new job or just needs an extended amount of time to learn a new job, Voc Rehab would be an agency that we would want to connect to in order to get to a job coach for that student. And they would help the family to connect to those job coaches. And they also provide the financial need to pay for that job coach. So they're the payer of the job coach, but they also can connect the family to that. Every high school in the county has a vocational rehabilitation counselor that's associated with them that can be called in at any time, but typically they're called in those last 2 years for a student to really support them. Another agency that we interface with and many families are associated with is Department of Mental Health, sometimes called regional also. The Department of Mental Health is really there and it has 3 divisions. It's the Department of Developmental Disabilities, Behavioral Health, and Substance Abuse. When we find that students meet the eligibility to be supported by one of those 3 arms, we may suggest that to a family that you might want to think about getting a regional case manager through Department of Mental Health. Their responsibility really is to kind of do what a family navigator would do or what we would do, which is just helping that family navigate the world of disability benefits, disability sites and locations where they can get more information. They oftentimes will help families with that long-term funding for families that are looking for their students to go into volunteerism or into the adult daycare world, really helping families to look for those sites, but also to look for the waivers and the funding for that. Typically, you would just simply contact Department of Mental Health, and then through their process, they would determine which branch is most appropriate for your student. But again, there is an eligibility and a requirement for the student. So always remember that as you're interfacing with the adult agencies, there's always a requirement for eligibility and to participate in their services. Other opportunities for you guys to learn about either charting the life course or transition planning in general. There's workshops offered through FACE, which I think they might talk about here shortly. But we have many parent workshops offered through SSD in partner districts. So please check with your special ed coordinator to determine those offerings, or even look on our website for those offerings. Questions? Deb, do we have any questions?
It doesn't look like we have any questions. Your presentation was so comprehensive that we don't have any questions. Thanks so much, Jeff, for talking to us about the transition department and just the tip of the iceberg about what your department does. You're small, but you're mighty, going out and helping those families plan for really what is a good life, which is what we should be doing at special school district. I'm going to fill you in on a couple of other things. If you need to reach the transition department or you want some more information, go to SSD's homepage and go to departments. The transition page is full of all kinds of resources, whether you're transitioning from kindergarten or into middle school or into high school or adult life. Sometimes we talk about transition more looking at the adult life because that's our goal, is for everyone to have a good life. But they have all kinds of information for the whole process, because we know life is transition. We're always transitioning. The other place that you can get some more information is the FACE website. So FACE is Family and Community Engagement. We're a brand new program. So this is the first lunch and learn of the new FACE program or department, and transition is our first offering. FACE is a combination of the parent education and diversity awareness and the family engagement teams. So we've combined, we're offering all of the same wonderful services and supports. We think they're wonderful, but we're doing even more. So we do have some workshops coming up that you can register online. We have one this evening on executive functioning if you're watching this live. If you're not watching this live and you get this information later, know that not only are lunch and learns recorded, but all of our workshops are recorded and they can be watched later. So on this screen, you'll see upcoming events, the executive functioning. We do have a 3-part series that we're offering in October, beginning October 4th, to do a little bit more of a deep dive into those Charting the Life course tools. We'll cover those 3 tools that Jeff discussed for transition planning, and talk about not just transition to adulthood, but transition in general. And we've got a great one on assistive technology in December. The other thing we got when we combined with the family engagement is the family engagement program had a place at North Tech called the Hub. And the Hub is hosting many, many things. Hub is hosting the Hub huddles, which you can see here. We have the Castle events, and then the Higher Education Consortium, where families can drop in during those times on those dates and receive help either from the Community Action Agency or about jobs. There's also the family cafes, which is a really exciting new adventure that we're going into, where families really join together and have discussions, and meaningful discussions that they lead on topics and information that they want. And you can see the dates on there. You can also just find us on the FACE website. Go again to SSD, go to departments, and go to FACE. You can email us if you have additional questions or you need more information at face@ssdmo.org, or give us a call. 314-989-8460 is the general number, and one of the FACE team members will get back with you. Looks like maybe we have a question. Oh, no, we just got an endorsement. Deb and Jeff are the best. So with that, I invite you to join us again. Our next Lunch and Learn is us, the family engagement, and we're going to talk about activities for families in the Family Engagement Month, and that's on October 26th. We have the Rec Council coming up, Productive Living Board. Our wonderful Applied Behavioral Analysis program will be coming to talk to us about ABA and those supports and services. We have the National Alliance on Mental Illness coming to speak with us in April. And then we're going to round out the end of this school year with, again, the FACE group talking about summer engagement activities, and that's in May. So join us for Lunch and Learns workshops. Come to the Hub at North Tech and join us for the Hub huddles, family cafes, or just information sharing and resources. We still have our Family and Community Resource Center, which is books and DVDs and information that we can either send by pony to schools or directly to families. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day.